Good afternoon. We extend a warm welcome to you from Provo, Utah. I'm Sister Espelin and will be the host for today's class. Today's class is offered to the general public by the BYU Family History Library. Questions related specifically to the family history work of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints should be addressed on an individual basis with one of our missionaries, either in person or virtually. Our presenter today is Elder Larry Bassist, who has over 40 years of experience in Jewish genealogy. He will give a basic introduction, including general principles, Jewish considerations, popular Jewish genealogy websites, and additional Jewish genealogy sites. At the end, he will ask what areas of interest each participant has and will structure his second class, Jewish Genealogy Next Steps, around your interest. We hope you find your time with us productive and enjoyable. I'll turn the time over now to Elder Bassist.
Thank you. My background is that my father's family was Jewish and came from Hungary, and my mother's family was Jewish and came from the Ukraine. So I've spent a lot of time doing research in Hungarian Jewish genealogy and surrounding areas and helping other people with their genealogy. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So this is going to be some basics in Jewish genealogy. Elder Tanner gave a talk on some basic Jewish genealogy several months ago. My talk and his talk only minimally overlap, so you may want to look at the recording of his talk for a different angle at this. So first of all, I'd like to know if you would to share what surnames and locations you're interested in researching. So while I'm doing some searches, I could use your surnames instead of my own, but I'll just use my own if I don't get any. So first of all, the very basics of Jewish genealogy are the same as for non-Jewish genealogy. Some of the important things are to start with yourself and work your way back. There are so many examples of people who jump to their great-great-grandparents and they're launching off trying to research things only to find out later they've researched a line that is not really connected to them because they did not start with themselves and build a sure foundation to go on. You should document everything as you go so that you have sources and other people can see where you're getting your information from. Also, do not only your direct line, but do the brothers and sisters as much as possible, because often maybe one of those aunts or uncles will have the piece of information you're looking for will show up while you are researching them. And it also is comforting when 2 or 3 different people are quoting the same thing. That gives you more certainty that it is accurate, more likely to be accurate. Should always start with, what do you already know? Write down what you knew about yourself first. Your name, your birth date and place, your parents, your marriage information, date and place, and who you married, etc. You write down what you know, and you get documents. A copy. Do you have a copy of your birth certificate? If you don't, get it if you can. Do you have a copy of your marriage certificate? All these kinds of things, other documents. Build a foundation. And when you get those documents, read everything on it. Sometimes, for instance, I found my parents a marriage ketubah in Hebrew, and I never had gotten into it deeply before, and all of a sudden I discovered a few things that I didn't know. when I got that and read it fully. Gather similar items for your parents, aunts and uncles, and other relatives. Anything that you have in your possession, get it together. One person suggested get a big box and put it on your kitchen table and start searching through all your stuff you have throughout your house. And when you find genealogy stuff, put it in. Talk to relatives and gather what they have. And especially talk to the oldest living relatives and get their stories and any information that they can come up with about their ancestors. And you want to do that as soon as possible because anything can happen and they won't be available anymore. Often they'll have information that will unlock lines for you. Now, some special Jewish considerations. First of all, some people may be reluctant to share information, particularly if they or close relatives were in the Holocaust. But try. Names are very fluid. In Hebrew, is mostly written with just vowels. I'm sorry, with just consonants, without vowels. And so hang loose with the spellings. In fact, I went to one talk by a famous Jewish genealogist, Gary Mokotov, where he put up one slide, had 100 ways to spell a certain name. It was just amazing. That made a big impression on me. Often people had a sacred given name, a Jewish name, and a secular given name, and they did not necessarily match. So maybe Labe was also Louis. Chaim was maybe Herman. Miriam could be Margaret. Often they had the same first letter sound, but not always. Sometimes people were named after dead grandparents, so that is a clue. Especially Ashkenazic Jews did this. They're from Eastern Europe. Some people changed names in the old country and changed names when they came to the US. If you want to find information about those name changes when they came to the US, look in the naturalization records, and the Social Security card applications also have those name changes. So some general resources, and I'm just going to list, okay, some here: civil, birth, marriage, death, and cemetery records. That's not just Jewish, that's, for anybody. Census records, military records, naturalization and passport records, probate and will, land records, synagogue records, newspapers, local histories. One time I was at the library searching for my uncle's family, and one of the workers at the library came up to me and says, "You ought to search for a local history." And I'm thinking, these people, they're not highfalutin people. They wouldn't be in a local history. About an hour later, she sees me again and tells me, I ought to do that. And so I went and asked for the local history. It was a big, huge book. And lo and behold, there was a whole page and a half on his ancestors that took it back 2 or 3 more generations. Ship lists, other court records, nowadays social media, of course. So it's important to keep an open mind. Family lore might have a grain of truth in it. And especially find the town that your family came from in the old country and be very flexible with spelling and sound. You can look at ship lists, and I'll show you this website, stevemorse.org, to help you with ship lists. You can look at naturalization records. You can look at census records. And and look at close relatives records, and sometimes even neighbors records, because at certain periods of time, like people from the same town kind of lived in the same area. And of course, the family lore. So I want to show you the Steve Morse website first here. Let's see. So you just go to stevemorse.org and it takes you here, one-step web pages by Steve Morse. And right here, this first one, Ellis Island Passengers Gold Form. You come here and I'm going to search for Martin and I'm going to use sounds like. Also, you can say, I want to see the ship, the port, the exact date, and you can pick a few other things. I do search, and it's going to pop up a number of, so here's, look at these various spellings that it came up with here. The things that sort of sound like Bassist, but this one here, Martin Bassist, 73 years old, female, white, on the Olympic, the SS Olympic on March 16th, 1921. That's the one. And I'm going to show you. So here it is, Martin Bassist. And it says mother of number 13. Number 13 is Alex Barta. Well, who's he? How come her name and his name are different? Well, it turns out some of the Bassist family in Hungary changed their surname to Barta to sound more Hungarian at the time. And so this Alex, remember we said names are somewhat fluid. When he was born, his name on the birth certificate was Samuel Bassist. And from Samuel, that's kind of like his Hebrew name, he went by Shandor, which is a more Hungarian. Notice they both start with S, Shandor. And so where's Alex come from? Well, if you think of Alexander, sounds a lot like Shandor, part of it. So Samuel, Shandor, Alexander, Alex. And this is actually Mrs. Martin Bassist. Martin Bassist was my great-grandfather. It said that Alex is a bookbinder. My father, his father, and my grandfather's, some of his brothers were all in the printing business. Now here it says, this is person 12, 13, and 14. They're going to Joseph Bassist, who was my grandfather, at this address in New York City. And now here's the main point. Well, before that, it says certificate of senility. So this lady who was 73 was already getting senile. Uh-oh, I think I'm 72. I better watch out. So Sister Esplin, keep an eye on me. But here's the point. This is place of birth. It's saying for Mrs. Martin Bassist, she was born in this town. It's pretty hard to read, but using CS and ending in SE and looking through towns in Hungary, it turns out it's CSE, CSE. Checha is how it's said. And then Alex, who's my grandfather's brother, he's born in something called Kishkin-Fele Kiepi, according to this. Well, there's no town called that, but there is a town that starts with Kishkin-Fele, and it's Kishkin-Fele Chaza. So here I found on the ship list, the towns these people were from. And I think I found that in like the 1980s, about when I first found that. Okay, here I'm going to list some Jewish sources, and I'm just going to list them on this page, but then we'll go through each one and show you what they have. The first is Jewish Gen, and it has information from all over the world on Jewish people. Of course, Family Search, it has Jewish records from many places in the world. Routes to Roots Foundation has, it's like an inventory of what is in the archives in Poland and Ukraine and other areas around there. There's JRI Poland, Jewish Record Index Poland. There's Alex Krakowski's Ukrainian records. There's something called GenTeam AT, which is Austrian and surrounding area records. MACI, MACSC, has Hungarian. Yad Vashem has Holocaust records. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, USHMM, has Holocaust records, and Errolson Archives has Holocaust records. So let's look at Jewish Gen for a minute. It's a free website, but you must register. And when you have a free account, it allows limited search criteria. And we'll see that in a minute. If you donate $100, it allows for expanded search criteria. It has a whole lot of good information. Some things, it has a shtetl finder, possible towns. So when you have something that says they're from CSO, who knows what, SE, you can type in some things and it'll tell you towns that are similar to that. It has a discussion group. You can post questions and documents for translation, and the people are extremely willing to help. Whenever I've posted things for translation, within a day or two, I get a translation. And I'll show you this. I'll show you that question and answer place. And also, after you log in and you want to do a search, you go to Databases, Unified Search. And we'll search for Martin Bassist there. So I'm going to pop back out and go to here. And I can close that. And every day in my email, I get something from Jewish Gen on this discussion group, and they list the topics and then some little older topics where there's more replies. So for instance, this first one, help with Hebrew translation on gravestone, please. So here's a picture of a gravestone and there's Hebrew up here. And this person can't read Hebrew, so they're saying, hey, help, I need a translation. And so here someone says, here lies, or here is buried, and blah, 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 you know. And here's another person who gives a more extensive discussion about what was there. So this is very typical. Okay, let's go back. And another one I want to show you is this one, Social Security cards. A few questions about ordering the application for Social Security cards. What kind of information comes with it? Blah, blah. And it turns out that people are saying, hey, I sent for this for my grandmother, and I found out that I knew her as this name, but it also said what her name was when she first came, you know, her name in the old country was. what it was changed from. And then another one here I found out by looking at the brother of somebody in their application, there was information going back on their records. And then here's people talking about exactly how to request this information. So fantastic stuff shows up in these things, in these discussion groups. Here's another one here, online index or database for displaced person camps after World War II. Does anyone know of a database or indexes for survivors in displaced person camps? And you go down and people start giving links. Here's the link to the Arrelson archives and other places to go for information. Here's one here, dpcamps.org. So it's just amazing what you can find in these discussion groups, the help that you can get, and people are so willing to help. It's just wonderful. Okay, so now let's go to, here's just jewishgen.org. You're here, you have to sign in. Okay, so I've got one here. Let's see. Typed it right, yes. Continue. So you get here and you click on databases, unified search. And now I can put in a surname. And I think I said I was going to search for Bassist. And here it says phonetically like, right? There's various options. There's exactly and all kinds of things, but that's good enough. And I'm going to put in a given name, Martin. And here it's all countries. And see here it says advanced database search features are available only to contributors of $100 to the fund. So if you contribute $100, you get like 4 or 5 or 6 more of these options. So you can put in a place and, you know, a spouse's surname. You can search on more criteria to narrow it down. So here's the search. And let's see, let's look at Hungarian births, 18 Hungarian births. And here's the name of the person who was born, and here's the father and the mother, and here's Martin Bassist and Lena Berger. Oh, Lena Berger was the lady on the ship list, Mrs. Martin Bassist. And Samuel Bassist, he was Alex Barta, who changed his name. And you see here, they had lots of children, and they're in this town called Felechaza or Kishkin Felechaza. So Felechaza is just short for Kishkin Felechaza. They had a lot of children, and there's sort of 2 listings of them in the records on these films, so they show up again here. It tells you what film number, what volume number, and let's see, up here, 2604 has to do with maybe a page number and person number on that page. So you can find lots of information to take you to family search records or other records that they're not just family search. So pretty cool. Lots of information here. Any questions about that? So let's go to family search. I'm already signed in here, but oh wait, before I do that, let's go back here. So in family search, it's a free site, but you must register. And I want to show you how to get to the Jewish records. You go to Search Catalog, and a quick way to see all the Jewish records in the area is, while doing the search, you put in the subject is Jewish records, and the keyword is your location of interest. And I'll show you by searching in Nógrád County in Hungary. So I'm here. I said, search in the catalog. Search in the catalog. When you do that, you can search by place, surname, titles, author, subjects. You don't do it by putting the place in the place. I'll show you what happens if I do that. Nógrád, Hungary, Nógrád County, and then subject, Jewish records. What happens here is it goes to Nógrád County, and think of like directories in a computer. It goes to the directory for Nógrád County and picks Jewish records if they're there, but it will not go to subdirectories. So this is extremely limited. I only get one hit here. So what I'm trying to show is the way to see all the Jewish records for Nógrád County is to use subject Nógrád, I'm sorry, Jewish records, but then in the keywords put Nógrád. Now, in Nógrád County, there are Jewish records in Balassagyarmat, Becsky, Bursel, Chécsa. Oh, that's the town that was on that ship list. And all these other towns, there are Jewish records in. So in Chécsa, let's go here. This is really strange. It's saying it has the key over this camera icon, which means I have to be at the library to look at it. Oh, maybe I've been out for so long, I have to sign in again. Just a second. Now I can look at it. So the camera icon takes you there and it says it's item 7. Item 7. Did I write that down? Okay. So here's item 1. And item 2, and I could scroll up like this, but to go to item 7, I've already found it previously. I think this is it. 477, yeah. So right here, Chécsa, this is birth, marriage, and death starting at 1850. And lo and behold, the very first person listed is Sophie Bassist, with Father Herman Bassist, who'd be I think my great-great-grandfather. She was born November 1st, 1850, and Herman's wife was Mari Spitzer. And in this record in Chécsa, there's 3 or 4 or 5 different records in there for brothers and sisters and the marriage of my great-grandfather, that Lena Berger and Martin Bassist are in this Checha record. All right. Moving along. So here. Routes to Roots Foundation. This shows what's in the archives in Poland and Ukraine mostly. And you can search by town. That once you get on their website, there's something called Search by Town Archive Documents, and you use what's called the Deutsch Mokotov Soundex method is usually the best, and we'll search for Kiev. Okay. You just type in Routes to Roots Foundation in Google, and here it is. You click on it, and it says, oh, they have things for Poland, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, and Moldova. This is the one you click on, Search by Town Archive Documents. There's exact search, some other sound decks. I like to use the Deutsch Mokotov. So if you're not spelling it quite right, it's a special kind of sound decks that helps. You do a search, and here you go, Kiev, Kiev, Kiev. So this is town, region, like bigger area and country. So I'm going to click on Kiev here, and look what it has. It has all these different kinds of records, Jewish records, births. Oh, 1863 to 71, 74, 75, 77, all these different years they have births. What it's saying is in the archive, and here it's the Central State Historical Archive of Ukraine in Kiev, they have these records. Okay. Going back, here's census records. 1816, 1839, 61. Death records, Jewish school, marriages, pogroms, all kinds of things are here. It tells you what exists. Okay, so that's a good thing to use. But how do you get those records? It's telling you those records exist. How can you get them? Okay, so that brings us to the next website called JRI Poland, Jewish Record Index Poland. They have many records, some with links right to the record itself. I say we'll search for Bassist, but I'm having trouble getting on the site. I forgot my password, and when I click on the thing for forgot password, there's not sending me the thing to renew it. So all is not lost, because many of their records show up in Jewish Gen. So if you do a search in Jewish Gen, usually as you scroll down, there's a section of JRI Poland records that have been shared with Jewish Gen. The other place you can find records is this guy, Alex Krakowski. He's gone around and photographed thousands and thousands of records in the Ukrainian archives. He had to sue them because by law, they were supposed to be open, but they were denying him access. So he sued, and he wins, and he goes to the archive and photographs thousands and thousands of records and posts them online for free. You just Google Alex Krakowski, that'll show you a link to somewhere in family search where they have a link to get to them. And I'll show you that in a second. If your town is there, you can click on the link and it'll take you to the images. However, it's in the Cyrillic alphabet and handwritten Cyrillic. So kind of hard to read. If you can read that, it's helpful. If you can't, you got to get some help. So let's look at Alex Krakowski here. Oh, here's if JRI Poland, you just go here, JRI Poland, you click on it and you can log in. Here it says, I'll just put in Bassist and it tells me there's 15 matches in 3 towns, but I have to log in if I want to see them. Okay, Alex Krakowski. Krakowski you Google Alex Krakowski, Krakowski documents in family search. You just go there. Hopefully it will get there. And right here, the main wiki portal is found here. They also have a special one for Kiev and another one for Zhytomyr. But the main one is here. And when you go there, the first thing you should do up here is click on English. Okay. So now Archives Jewish Town, click on that. And there are various provinces here. Okay. I'll just pick one about this Poltava province up here. Here's a county. And then here's various cities and districts and things. And if let's just pick one, someone here. And here's the record, and it says go to the next page. And you can see these pages. After a while, they'll pop up here. Takes some time, and you can download them here down below. You can download them. So you can get right to the records, hopefully, if your town is there. Okay, let's see here. Here's another one, another website that's very useful, GenTeam.at. It's based in Vienna area. It's free, but you must register. Use overall search, and there's many records are indexed and some have links. And we'll search for Eretz, I for Isaac. Eretz was my grandmother's maiden name. To show you what they have here. Let's see, I need to go here. So you just type in genteam.at, it takes you here. Here's my sign in. I log in. My session has expired. Please log in again. There we go. Okay. You go here and do overall search. There, you can do sub searches, but this one is usually the best. I'm going to put up here, Eretz and I, and search. So here's a bunch of Eretzes, and down here, there's another page of them. And notice I've got Isaac and Imre and Ignas, Isaac Leopold. That's my great-grandfather, Isaac Leopold Eretz. However, look at this one. It's saying see if I get it right. The mother is Anna Schmiedel. The father is Ignaz. The child is Frederica Iritz. The code 1 means a birth. And they have the date and the number and the book and volume. So you could go probably into family search and find this exact record. So Ignaz and Isaac are the same guy. Isaac Leopold. Isaac is a Hebrewish name. Ignaz is a Hungarianish name. Not sure who Imre is, but look at this. So here's the Rosalia Plan, and that's my direct ancestor. And Isaac, here it's having a child, Emily. Let's see here. More children here. What is this one? Rosalia Plan, Elizabeth. Code 2 is a marriage. Here's where he's marrying Anna Rosalie Schmiedel and the date they got married. And then right here, divorces.
Okay, got it.
Here's Anna Schmiedel. He divorced her at some point in time. So there's lots of information here about them. Isaac Leopold, lots of kids, lots of information, couple of marriages, the divorce. There's good information here. That's GenTeam AT. Okay, I want to show you Maci, M-A-C-S-E, is a Hungarian website. It costs about $30 a year for the paid site. But if you have Hungarian ancestry and it's very useful site. You can search for birth, marriage, and deaths and for name changes. You can search by names, but it searches by exact spelling. So you have to try all kinds of alternatives. Most have direct links to the records themselves, and we'll search marriages for Bassist with this odd spelling, which is a Hungarian spelling of the name Bassist. And we'll search deaths for Bassist, just to show how this one works. So macse.hu. You come here and you can either click on this English up here or this British flag for English. And I click this one here, state certificates and name changes. And then it goes back. Oh, here I can do that. It changed to English. I'm going to pick marriages and it wants me to log in. So I log in. It tells me you are logged in, go to database. This is login number 44. You get 365 logins for a year. So you could log in once a day, every day. I don't log in every day. Now it's not in English, but Chalad is the family name. Bassist. And you just hit enter. And scroll down, and here's Martin Bassist and Lena Berger, my great grandparents, I think it is, and their son Zsigmond Bassist marrying Charlotte Recknitzer in 1906 in Budapest, the 6th district. And it's coming from film number this in the family history library and image number 44. But if you just click on that, bingo, it takes you right to the image. Let's see, here it is here. Bassist Zygmunt. It gives where he was born, Kishkinfele Chaza, and the date he was born, the parents. Nihai means deceased, so his father was deceased at that time. And here's his wife, where she was born, and her birth date, and her parents, and witnesses. All this kind of stuff is right there. Okay, and we'll go back here. Here's another one, Ignaz Bassist with the same parents. Here's my grandfather, Joseph Bassist, getting married to Janka, and it says Fritz, but it's really Iritz. Whoever was extracting that didn't get it right. Here it is, Bassist, which in Hungarian is pronounced the same way we pronounce it here, Bassist. Joseph gives his birth date. It doesn't tell where he was born, but it says where he was living at the time of marriage, Kistiofa Utsa 7. So you could look that up on a map if you wanted to see. His parents, Janka Iritz, and her birth date, and her parents, etc. Okay, so this website, Machi, has lots of good information. So we said we wanted to also look at, what did I say? I think deaths. So this is birth, marriage, and deaths up here. And look for assist with that spelling. And this Therese Bassist. This is very interesting because when I found this, let's see where it is. Schneer Joseph Ney. In Hungarian, the Ney is like Mrs. Joseph Schneer, and her birth name was Bassist Therese. And it says she was born in Karchag. That was a big aha. When I went to that town's records, I found several more family members there. And it solved the big mystery. Her father, here they say Armin Bassist. Armin is the Hungarian form of Herman. Some records had Herman Bassist, and there was another record of an Abraham Bassist with the same named wife. And I thought, well, maybe they're the same person. When I went to the Karchag records, it had A.H. Bassist for Abraham Herman Bassist. So that solved a great mystery. All right, let's go back here. Next one. Yad Vashem. These are Holocaust records. You don't have to register, it's free. Go to digital collections, show a names database. Sometimes pages of testimony were filled out by relatives, so you can get the relatives' addresses and things. And we'll search for Bruderman here. Let's see, back. You just go to yadvashem.org, digital collections, show a names database. I'm not going to show you, but I'll just tell you about, there was one relative I found in here, and it was filled out by his son, and there was an address in France, and I wrote, or I somehow found that address and people there. It was the son's wife was still living, and I was able to correspond with her. Okay, so I'm here, and what did I say I was going to search for? Bruderman. "38 results, various Brudermans." But here's from Kishkenfele Chaza, Brudermans. And Fusus Garmat is where they were from. This Karoy Bruderman is a relative of mine, and it has some information about him. It says he was born in 1901. He lived here at this address. He was in this town during the war. And it says it was something about registered under occupation, persecuted, record of persecuted persons. It doesn't say whether he died or what about him. Okay. Now, the next one is the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. It's free, no registration. You go there, you go to Remember Survivors and Victims, database of Holocaust survivor and victim names, search for names, search now. And we'll search for Bruderman with 2 N's this time. So ushmm.org, Remember Survivors and Victims. Okay, and then you come down here to database of Holocaust survivor and victim names. Search for names, search now. Bruderman. And here's this Karoy Bruderman and Karoy Ney, that's the wife, and Margaret, that's their daughter. And there's various entries here. And basically it says she was a prisoner in Bergen-Belsen, but also there's ones, let's see. I don't know, I don't have time to go to it, but one of them says that they survived. The wife and the child survived. They were survivors. And it said where they were when they were liberated. Okay. Of course, don't forget Ancestry.com, MyHeritage.com, Genie.com. There's also this Geneanet.org, which is a lot of French records, and did I spell that one right? Is FILEA.com or AE? I could have that wrong. And of course, DNA. So in summary, there's lots and lots of websites that you can use to make progress. What I'd like to know is, and you can send in the chat or to somehow to Sister Esplin, what you are interested in covering next. Any questions?
Elder Bassist, that was just awesome. How informative. I can't believe what's possible and what a super detective you are. If anyone who's watching this wants to connect with us and help and give us information on what they're looking for, they can do byufhlmissionaries@gmail.com, or they can give us a call at 801-422-3766. Really appreciate all your hard work and effort. It's amazing presentation.
Thank you. My pleasure. Also, I am on duty through Zoom at the library on Wednesday and Thursday nights from 4 to 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Time, if you want to contact me that way.
Thanks for remembering. I was going to tell that, so thank you. And thanks again. I'll stop the recording now.